Two, one. C1music.fm, the familiar. It is your host for the evening, Aaron Robinson. I got my special panel with me today. I got my video panel and my phone panel on. How's everybody doing today?
Great.
Good, good.
Good. Happy to be here.
Good, good. So last week we was going to do a show and then I forgot why I didn't do it. Um, the title of the show is going to be Single to Mingle. And that is still the title of the show. But I want to phrase the question differently because technically speaking, I want to come at it a different way. So the title is still going to stay as Single to Mingle. But the phrase that I want to put out there or the question that I'm going to ask, the question is, and I want y'all to listen to this and answer this question as we get into that story. Um, the story, the title that I want to kind of paraphrase this as is, should I still be your pastor? All right. Should I still be your pastor? That is the phrase that we're going to start off with. Yo, today is the 15th, April 15th. If you want to join us on a live call, since we are streaming live on Facebook and YouTube, you can call in at 908-316-8630. Again, you can call in at 908-316-8630, or we have the live chat open so you can chat with us and shoot us a message, and we'll give you a shout out on one of our platforms. All right. With that being said, again, today's topic title is Single to Mingle with the phrase, should I still be your pastor? How's everybody doing today? Everybody's good?
Yeah. Great.
Yes.
All right. So let's get it going. We're going to start it off like this. Everyone, I want y'all to meet yourselves. You guys all move to a new city and are looking for a new church home. You meet a young, nice woman named Donna, who is also a Christian and speaks about her church and her pastor often and has offered for you to come check out her church. It has been a month since you moved, and you are now ready to plant roots in a new church home. So you take Donna up on her offer. You meet Donna at the church. You two walk in right away and walking around by praise and worship, should I say. The praise team is singing songs that you are familiar with. So it's easy for you to sing along and enjoy praise and worship time. Offering comes, and then the pastor is getting up to speak. The pastor says to the congregation, guys, I have a special announcement I want to share with the church today. The church says amen, and he proceeds to pronounce his special announcement. And it goes like this.
This is a very serious announcement. If you have joined this church because you think you're going to marry me, this needs to be your last Sunday. We don't do that here. I don't run through the women. We don't do that here. So I have to say this because unfortunately, we've had several situations with several individuals who have made it clear to several of our leaders that they felt God led them here to be a spouse to me. I can tell you that is a lie. Second order of business, we had an individual call the church. I don't know this person. They said they were upset because they had been in a relationship with me for an extended period of time via email, and I suddenly stopped reaching out to them. Well, that's because you were never talking to me in the first place. So to whoever that was, I'm sorry that you went through this tragic event, but that's not our fault. And I would pray that you would be less gullible in the days ahead. But I assure you that if you push this any further, we will legally take action with great prejudice. So go ahead and let it die. Repent and go find a real human. So let me set order. If you came to this church and you think I'm your husband, unthinking. So let's calm that down. Look at your neighbor and say, calm all that down. Calm on. We don't do that foolishness here. You should be glad you got a pastor with some integrity. We don't do that stuff here. 2011, I went through a divorce. You all know that. Publicly divorced in this church. When I got divorced, people in the city turned on me that I didn't even know care. preachers and ministers and churches that used to invite me to preach still will not invite me to preach. There were words that had gotten out about me that were devastating to my soul. I felt pain in a way I had never felt before. Didn't cheat on my ex. I didn't beat on my ex. We had irreconcilable differences that could not be resolved because the fact of the matter is we were not on the same page. I got married and didn't understand what marriage was, which is what the greater majority of you don't know, because we come to church and we shout and we jump, but we don't deal with the realities of how to live life. I went through a divorce, and when I went through that divorce, it was devastating. Wait for it. And because my heart is for the people of God, I kept preaching and teaching at such a high level, the church kept growing. And then a new group of people started to gravitate to my ministry and call me throughout the world to minister the gospel. During this time frame, I am literally losing my mind. Nobody knows it because I've been given a measure of strength and tolerance, wait for it, that is abnormal. Based on the fact that I have strong parents, I've been taught strong faith, so I'm functioning while I'm truly a dysfunctional person. This is what I've discovered about people. People don't really care what you're going through as long as you can help them. So I'm stressed out, but I'm still preaching. I'm telling people, now they know I just got divorced, but they need me to come to the hospital. They need me to lay hands. They need me to do this. They need me to do that. And that's fine. That's my responsibility. But where I messed up was this. I should have took a break. I should have stopped and said, hey, I'm going to leave for a year and I'm going to get my mind right. But see, when you do stuff like that, church is conditioned by religious people to judge you. We're supposed to be the place of mending and healing, but somewhere down the line, they started becoming the place of condemnation and judgment. So when pastors go through, they feel like they got to hide everything, because if they don't, y'all gonna fire them. Your medical doctor went through a divorce, and guess what he still did? Perform surgery on you. Your lawyer went through a divorce, and guess what happened? You still called him to handle your court case. Your pastor goes through a divorce, and all of a sudden, he's not qualified to preach. He's supposed to be held at a higher esteem. In life, life can't happen to me. There are some things that have not prophetically been fulfilled over this ministry. And God said that he is about to answer her prayers.
All right. So while sitting in the congregation, Donna looks over to you and says, my pastor is awesome. Ain't he? You should come back next Sunday and join. What will be your response and why? And y'all can also answer the question, should I still be your pastor after I get a divorce? The floor is y'all. It's open. Talk to me. I want to jump on this one first.
I probably would say we'll see, or I'll see. I wouldn't give a yes, I wouldn't give a no, because evidently there's some foolishness going on, and he's addressing it. Instead of calling out the individuals, he's talking to the whole congregation, kind of like you do in a company. Somebody does something wrong, you don't call the individual, you talk to everybody.
So you would definitely come back.
I would tell them we'll see. I think about coming back. I understand life just happened to everybody. I get that. But there has to be a lot more going on that's not being said if you had to tell the whole congregation that. So I have some questions, and I don't know. I'm not saying I wouldn't go back, but I'm not going to say, yeah, I'll be back next Sunday. I got to think about it.
All right. First and foremost, let me give a shout out to Sister Jones, Deacon Jones. I don't know if you want to talk or not, but we definitely appreciate you being on with us. Just wanted to give you a shout out.
The story sounded very interesting. I didn't get the whole. I was 7 or 8 minutes late, so.
No, that's cool.
But I got the gist of it.
Okay.
At least I think I did.
Well, you can interject anytime you want to join in with us. I don't want to pick on you tonight, but definitely if you got something you want to add to it, definitely shout us out. All right. So anybody else, talk to me. Ed, I want to hear your take, Ed. Talk to me, Ed. Well, if this was your homegirl Donna, and she said, "Yo, her pastor's awesome," what would be your response? And how would you return to the church? Would you keep going? Like what?
No, I wouldn't return to the church. One, two. What person doesn't sound like, what's the word? Doesn't sound pastorally. You know, he sounds like a bit of some pride in him. Yeah, like the congregation needs him so much. You know, it doesn't sound. There's no humility in him. But that's what I'd say. Yeah, so I wouldn't
You're not
definitely
going
go back
back.
to that church. No.
Gotcha. Amber, you got the sour face. Amber, what's up?
I'd probably tell her that I wasn't coming back. I wouldn't necessarily tell her it was because he was divorced. I'd just say he's not my cup of tea. That guy rubs me the wrong way. Like he said, it was sort of like this. He's like, all these women, they keep throwing themselves at me. Please stop. Oh, I got a divorce, but God still needed to use me here, and the church still needed me. And it's like, it's not about you. Like, why are you talking about yourself so much? Give me the word or something.
Gotcha. So I wanted to make sure too, like him being divorced, does that matter?
I'm not a fan. I would say it's clear he hasn't learned much from his divorce.
Okay. First lady, talk to me.
I mean, I wouldn't say that I wouldn't go back, but I probably wouldn't go back the next Sunday. But I won't say that I wouldn't go back. And I would say anybody, I mean, life does happen. And I can tell you for a fact that being married to a pastor, that there is a whole lot of women that do try to be up in the pastor's face and all that kind of stuff. I mean, even back when we were dating, I experienced women just all of, I went to a church with my husband and all the women trying to, talk to him and everything, and I'm standing right there with him. So I'm saying I can understand, from that standpoint that probably can get, overwhelming or tiring or whatever. So a lot of the things that he said, I do agree with. I don't necessarily know if when he did it or how he did it was the right time or appropriate. And I like the way Charles Stanley, I believe, if I'm correct, he got divorced and his congregation stayed with him and whatnot. But their thing was, you can still pastor as long as you don't remarry. I believe that's how that went. And so he never remarried. And so I'm saying there are ways that, anybody can fall and, mess up and whatnot. So, and, even pastors, it depends on what the situation is and whatnot. So, but I wouldn't want my pastor to be cheating or anything like that. I couldn't deal with that. But if his wife left him or whatever, and it wasn't, I would have to hear more.
All right, so I got let me interject and give my opinion real quick, and then cuz I'm gonna come to you. First and foremost, I'm gonna say this: he got divorced in 2011. It's 2024. I believe that at this particular point in time,
2011.
2011. So for me, I mean, his that period of whatever, I think he can be able to bounce back from that. So I don't hold that part against him. However, I will say I do have an issue with the fact of the matter that he got a divorce, and the divorce wasn't a biblical divorce. So that's my first.
Wasn't?
No,
I don't know what he got.
he just and solid. What is it?
Irreconcilable differences.
Irreconcilable differences.
So they just can't get
Yeah.
along.
They just can't get along. So to me,
He
that's
said
not
he
a
didn't know what marriage was like.
Yeah. So
Like we all know going in.
So for me, he wasn't qualified to be a pastor from.
Okay, okay.
So for
Whoa.
me, that's an issue. That's a red flag right there. He wasn't qualified to be a pastor if you making those excuses. You know what I mean? Especially saying I didn't know what marriage is and this, that, and the third. Like, bro, who married you, man? Like, and you a pastor and you saying this in the pulpit. That's not something that I would want my pastor to be standing in front of the pulpit. I don't hold the divorce part against him now, but that's not a biblical reason to get a divorce. However, my issue right now is like, yo, you can't be having no. I understand, and listen, I understand that, you know what I mean, sometimes pastors get hit on or whatever the case may be, but yeah, you got to keep that moving, man. To me, I don't know. I that's too much drama to stand up in front and be like, yo, man, you know, if you came to this church for me and you want to marry, you want to be my wife, it's like, bro, what is this dude talking about, bro? You know what I mean? Like I that kind of be a turn off to me. I don't know if I would be like, yeah, I'm coming back there. You know, and then to stand up there and say all that, you know, that would be a red flag for me. And then I'm saying that he should have sat down, but he didn't sat down, and this, that, and the third. It's like that's not. You wouldn't be the person that's gonna give me spiritual wisdom on marriage or anything of that sort as a pastor, man. Like your whole situation is kind of the fact that you were even addressing that, having some lady on social media saying that y'all were dating and calling the church and this, that, and the third. That's just too much drama to be addressing. You know what I mean? The special announcement. So I wouldn't be, I don't know what Carletta was talking about, but she would be returning there on her own. I would definitely not be going back.
The other annoying part was when he was like, I guarantee your doctor's been divorced. And I'm like, no, that's apples to oranges. If somebody came and said, this is your doctor, he's killed all of his patients so far, but I think he's good now. Like that would be the fair comparison.
True. All right, cuz, what you think, cuz? Are you going back?
So, yeah, I would go back. Honestly, I get what Amber is saying. I do agree. When he said that doctors and made those analogies or comparisons, I was like, that, yeah, apples to oranges. But I did agree with him because I'm gonna say I've known someone that they said that God told them that this pastor was their husband. And when I tell you, I'm not saying for a week. I am not saying for a month. I'm saying this woman held on to that for years. Actually, the man, even when the man was engaged, she was still believing that God had told her. So I know I respected him to say, listen, this is what you came here. Go ahead and leave. Go ahead and leave. If you came for it, you're here for the wrong reason. I respected that. I didn't see anything wrong with that. I mean, cut it out right now. Just go ahead. Go on with your bad self. I respected that. And addressing this issue where this woman, whatever that was, it was drama, but addressing that too. This is what's going on. Listen, we ain't playing with you. I ain't playing with you. That wasn't me. And if you keep on pursuing it, we will. Yes, with great prejudice. Like he ain't playing. Now let's get on to the word. I didn't agree, like I said, with the whole, like Amber said, apples to oranges and all that stuff. And in the Bible, you are supposed to have like one spouse or whatever. So that's where First Lady was saying how the guy who got divorced. So he kind of slid under the wire or made it because he never got married again. So technically he had one wife or one spouse. I do agree that is biblical. That's why he was saying you're held to a higher standard, which they are. But I also agree that, hey, when you're in marriages, it ain't like a party. At times it's tough. And I don't know when he got married, how young he was, but you come in sometimes with this Disney or life happens. I'm saying, I agree that it wasn't a biblical divorce, but I get where he was coming from when he tried to explain that. even though it wasn't biblical.
Yeah, but he should have
he
shut him down
probably
though.
didn't do a good job
Yeah,
explaining it or
yeah,
whatever. But I mean, like I said, I can understand some of where he was coming from because I've had people disrespect me. Um,
they'll be in your face,
for
be
my
right there
husband.
in your
I'm
face.
saying, and I would even speak to them or say, and about it, and they disrespected what I was saying and whatnot. So I'm saying I've seen that happen. And he may not have said it right, or and I think he may not even explain his analogy of the doctor or whatever. But I can tell you for a fact that some ministers, pastors, and whatnot don't um care or get the help because of what you guys are saying. Of what this
Right,
should be my pastor or
right.
whatever. And so they hold stuff in and they burn out and they die young or whatever or get burnt. I'm saying it's hard. It's a
All right,
hard
so
road.
hold on. Let me say this. I would have gave him grace if he would have took the year off and came back. I would have been cool with that. You know what I'm saying? But he didn't do
I
that.
don't know.
For me, I'm
And
telling you,
but
me
a lot
personally.
of a lot of a
So
lot
for
of
you to
them,
be,
if they don't have.
you
Mhm.
hold to a higher esteem as a pastor, man. So I mean, like you just the
But
accountability.
life still happens. Life. I'm
And I'm
saying,
and I'm
yeah,
not
but
saying
but life still happens.
and I'm not saying that's one of the reasons why I say in life, just like everybody else got to stand in front of back in the day we had to stand in front of the congregation, and if you was wrong, you did something. The pastor needs to do that too. He got to be held accountable too. And if that means you got to take a year off, he should have took a year off and then came back. I wouldn't have hold the stripes against him if he would have came back. The fact is, he didn't take a year off, and he should have.
What the congregation had let him? A lot of times they're not allowed to take a year off, or to be honest with you, in a lot of cases, if that's their livelihood, is most churches are not paying your pastor to take a year off and pay somebody else to speak for a year. That's just murky water. And
I
I'm not
think that's
saying
what he
that
was
he
trying to,
handled it
what's the name,
right. He
too.
did wrong. Yeah,
Yeah.
I think a lot of the things he said were probably he should not have said. That wasn't the place or whatever. I totally agree with that. But I'm just saying that I understand some of the stuff, some of the things that he's saying, being in those roles as well, and dealing with those roles as well. I understand some of what he's saying. He probably didn't say it right or explain it well or whatever, but I can understand some of what he's saying.
All right,
That's
so
all.
first lady, just for clarity, so you saying that you would have came back and listened to another, you would have.
Not next Sunday. But I'm not. What I'm saying is that I would not have shut the door. Oh, I'm never going back there. Being in the position that I'm in, like I'm saying, I'm not. I wouldn't say that I would never go back there because I could relate to some of the stuff that he was saying.
Okay.
So I'm not saying that I'm not definitely not going back to join. But I'm not saying that I wouldn't stop in there and visit. For some time or whatever. The door isn't shut on that. But no, I'm not going. But I'm not going to go in the first time and join nobody's church.
Now, let me say this. Let me say this though. He got married and divorced or whatever in 2011. It's 2024.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think he handled that correctly. I'm not really holding that stripe against him. My issue right now is the fact that he got a lot of drama surrounding him as of right now with the whole a whole bunch of chicks at the church want to marry me and da 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 and this, that, and the third. That would be my issue as of right now. I'm not even dealing with the divorce thing because that's like 11, 12 years ago, 13 years ago. You know what I'm saying? Um, I don't feel like he handled that correctly neither, but I'm not
But what
holding that.
should it be done? What should it be if you got different women? And I have seen women. I know people that have said they're going to a church um, for the pastor. I have heard. I know people that have said that to me, that they were going to a church for the pastor. And
What was your
earlier
response to
on,
him?
I mean, I was shocked. I mean, I'm saying I was younger. This was in my earlier days. I'm saying I was shocked. It was somebody I knew that was an older woman, older than me. Like I was in my early 20s at the time. And this person was probably in their 30s or 40s. And they said that to me.
See,
It was
I'm
somebody that
I'm
I had
surprised
worked
that
with. And that surprised me that they, I knew that they were going to a church. I don't remember if the pastor's wife died or whatever, but they said, "Oh, I'll be there next Sunday." So I'm saying people think like that.
Eddie and Jen. I didn't know there was delusion back then too, man. It's Delulu going
Yeah.
over all over the place, man.
Nope.
That's delusion. Like
So I'm saying, and I can see him. So what do you do if you do have women coming in the church, like that for that purpose? Then what do you do? Maybe Sunday morning or whatever he did, it wasn't the time. But if you got people thinking, oh, he messed with this one or that one, he want to clear the air and clear his name. How do you do it?
Okay,
When do you
hold
do
on, hold on. I feel like Eddie and I are on the same wavelength with this, so you'll have to tell me, Eddie. I feel like he's giving off sort of a vibe that some of these women might be picking up. Yes, Eddie? Just by hearing the little bits that I'm hearing. Like he's kind of giving off this vibe of like and so of course women are going to be like, "Oh, he's single and he's just the best." But there's pastors who they're not married. Like look at Charles Stanley. Like, okay, I'm sure there's some delusional women who probably wanted to marry a pastor, but he's not giving off a vibe of like I'm going to get married again. He's a pastor.
You got to give another example. You got to come with a better example than Charles, because ain't nobody checking for him.
Because the line was set for him. When a line is set for you, like if you want to remain the pastor.
But he actually wasn't it Charles Stanley who was even. He said he would the appearance. He would make sure, or was it someone else?
Billy Graham.
Yeah,
Billy Graham would never put on the appearance.
Billy Graham. Okay, now you can put it on Billy Graham because people be checking for him. So he made sure. He had to make sure, even in his going into everywhere, he had to be diligent. So in your nobody's really and he had to be diligent because women can be very persistent. They're like groupies. They're actually like church groupies. This thing ain't no joke. It's not, it's not like.
And that's the thing is, if you give off a vibe or you like give them any sort of food. No, not Billy. This pastor, whoever's talking, is what I mean.
But I'm saying Billy Graham did, and didn't. I wouldn't say he gave off a vibe, but he's a nice looking guy.
And Aaron and Carletta, or even Jennifer, or even Edna, like I said, I have experienced that myself. Would you say that your dad or your father-in-law or your pastor give off a vibe? That would be.
Well, I'm not saying. See, I'm not saying this is across the board. I'm saying this specific man. Like Eddie picked up on it too a little bit.
But I'm not taking up for him. I'm just saying that some of the things that he said, I understand. I understand where he's coming from. Now, what vibe? If he's giving up a vibe, I don't know. See, but I'm just saying that
I would like
some of the stuff that he said, I can understand where he's coming from.
All right, so here.
But now, if he's bringing it on, then that's on him.
All right, so here's my thing. Here's my question, or here's my thing. I don't know. So I don't know if any experiences, me personally, have witnessed anything. First Lady, you said that this happened when y'all was in your younger days, because I don't know anybody in our church currently who would be bold enough to do something like that foolishly. And so I don't know back in the day. That was before my time, or whatever the case would be.
When I said that about a pastor, I said that was in my younger days.
Yeah. So I'm saying
that when I was in my 20s, you talking about? That's
I'm just saying whenever you said it.
That wasn't even that. That wasn't even at our church. I'm saying that was. I don't even think I was married then when I said about someone told me they were after a pastor.
Right. So I'm saying
that's totally different.
So for instance, Eddie, let me ask. I'm gonna ask you this from a male perspective. If you had one of your guys and he was like, yo, because I don't even know if this happens neither, but he was like, yo, I'm going to that church because such and such pastor, or pastor assistant or whatever she is, that her role in the church, yo, she's single, she on fire for God. I'm trying to be there with her. Like, what will be your response to that?
That is the wrong reason to go to church.
Right. Well, I'm saying, so that like, so that's what you would just say, yo, that's the wrong
Yeah,
reason to go to
just tell
church?
them, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Because y'all saying it like this happens today. I don't know if it does, because I'm pretty sure it does. I'm not saying that it doesn't, but for the people surrounding that person and they making it boldly known that they are going to the church. Because even if I was at that church and I was a member of that church and I knew a couple of females that was saying that, yo, I'm going to the church to marry the pastor, I'll be looking at them like they crazy. Like, yo, what are you talking about? Like, you wilding right now, man. And I guess maybe it's because I'm a pastor's son, but I would ask them also, why do you want to, do that? You know what I mean? Like, why are you volunteering to put yourself in that, in that light? And I'm not saying that it's a bad thing, but I'm just saying like there's responsibilities that go along with that. You know what I mean? So,
But
I think a lot of
people don't know
people,
how to see that.
yeah, I was gonna say that a lot of people don't understand all of the responsibility and the weight that a pastor and a pastor wife that they carry. They have no clue. They just see the attention or some of the gifts or just some of the limelight. They see that, but they don't know all the work and the heartache and all the things that go on behind the scenes. And I personally have been around some women, and they were like, "Oh, this pastor lost his wife," or yada yada, he's single, or it could just be a single guy coming to the church. There's so many women in the church, like, "Oh, they're just standing in line, like, oh yeah, well, I'm gonna talk to him first. I got dibs," stuff like that. Foolishness. So I've seen that.
so
Now,
let
I'm
me
not
ask.
saying
You
that
said you
that
seen it.
person
Did
was
it?
after the pastor
Hold on,
went and
Con.
talked about it.
So you seen it. You said you seen it. So what actually took place, or what actually happened after the fact? Like, did they actually get the pastor? Did they settle down with the pastor? Like, did he choose them? Like,
Well, you
They
can't
did
choose them
not
all.
settle
I
down.
think. Anyway.
I know
They
you can't
said
choose
they
them all,
didn't.
but I'm saying, did he started dating any of them at all? Like, you know what I mean? Because to me, this is just
I never saw the pastor or the guy talk to any of the ladies really. Like one of the guys, he wasn't a pastor. A few ladies kind of flirted with him. They found out what he was about and they quickly decided to go the other way. But for the pastor, I heard people talk about it and they kind of casually flirted and the pastor didn't pay them any attention.
so. I'm saying, it didn't work. And did they still go to the church afterwards?
I mean, they came for a while, then eventually they stopped.
So I mean, they heart ain't even in it for the right reasons. To me, that's just smoking guns, man. They just blowing smoke.
This is all just a bigger symptom of how we've marketed marriage within the church, right? Like that a woman is nothing unless she's married and has kids, or that it's just this like quick, easy, fun, thing. I feel like the church has done a really awful job of like actually telling people what marriage is and what singleness is.
I agree with that. I would also say too, though, that a lot of like even we're talking in the proximity of why females looking to settle down with the pastors or whatever the case may be. But I would also say that there's a lot of people that just want to be pastors and ministers, and they shouldn't be either. You know what I mean?
Right.
So
Yeah.
they,
It's a
just
low
as much as,
value of the
yeah,
pastorship too.
exactly. So just as much as the
Well,
females may want to be pastor, want to date the pastor, there's also men and women who want to be ministers or pastors that shouldn't be. You know what I mean? And I don't like. I don't know. It's not from to me. It comes back down, and you gonna have to answer to God on your own. You know what I'm saying? It's just okay. Like every time I hear somebody say, "Oh, this person is a pastor," or this person, and they, outside of the church, well, they do their own thing or whatever. You see them, they still on social media doing stuff that's ain't right. You know what I mean? You just, you don't, you skip that part where, you know what I'm saying, you're gonna be held accountable in a different light than, just the average joker. You know what I mean? So I mean, like, I don't know why you want that smoke.
It's because it's all, they don't, there's no biblical base to their aspirations, let's say, I mean, their desires. Because when you think of the Levitical priesthood in the Bible, gosh, they didn't even get land, they didn't get any inheritance. They ate what, like, from the sacrifices, and everything was brought to them. That it was so, there was their job, what they did was so serious that they had a rope with a bell tied around their robe
Mhm.
when they walked in. So if you didn't hear the
Mhm.
bell, then just go ahead and pull them out, because they did.
Mhm.
Like, 'cause don't play. You go ahead and wash yourself
Yeah,
before you come in
for
here. I
real,
mean,
yeah.
seriously. But nowadays, you can have, yeah, anybody, like anybody that's
But
charismatic,
you
that
can
looks
get
good, that's an
ordained
orator.
online.
Huh?
I said you can get ordained online and whatnot.
Yes.
It's like
Yeah.
they made a joke out of it.
Yeah.
Anybody can do it. You don't have to be saved. You don't got to be nothing.
You just have to be a good orator. Like I said, look
Mm-hmm.
good, I mean, look decent, just yeah, be charismatic and
And
rhyme.
I was watching this thing. They were saying that all of these singers, when they sing, they have a career singing, and when their singing career kind of slowly comes to an end, they automatically feel like they're qualified to be pastors. It's a lot of singers, even now today, there's a lot of singers that praise and worship music or whatever the case may be, gospel, whatever, and they transitioned over to being pastors. And then they're the ones that are saying stuff that you can look at and say, that's not biblical. You're a false prophet.
Neither is most worship music anymore.
True indeed. But I'm saying it's a lot, like it's a lot of people that are preaching that there's a guy that I listen to now that he's a singer, that he sings very well. I don't want to say his name out loud, but he sings. He got very good as a singer. But I just found out he got his own church, and I'm like, and people are saying like he not qualified to be a pastor. Like, if these singers want to be pastors, why don't y'all go to seminary school or something like that and actually do it the right way? Like, just don't say, "Oh, God called me to be a pastor now," and then they do the fluff. You know what I mean? They're screaming and shouting, and then when it's time to actually sit and listen to the word, they're not saying that. It's a watered down
But
word.
you have to blame some of that on the people, because most of these people would not be like like you said. Oh, this one ain't qualified, but he got a following in the flock. So I'm saying, so it's the people are making these people or unqualified people pastors, and whatever they're doing, whatever role they're playing. People are making them that because they're sitting up under them. They can go mess up, sleep with somebody Saturday night, come in, the whole congregation know about it, but they sitting up in there on Sunday morning listening to them, clapping about, go ahead, and all that kind of stuff. I mean, all this negative stuff you hearing about, but their churches are still packed every Sunday. So it's the people sitting up in the congregations are the ones that's making them what they are. Because
They
I
lost
couldn't
too.
sit up under all of that.
The lost leading the lost.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's come as you are, but now it's stay as you are.
Yeah, leave as you were. Yeah.
Yeah. Come as you are, stay as you are, leave as you are. That's it.
Carry on.
That's the sad thing. Yeah.
Yeah, that's
Remember, that's why judgment will begin in the house of God.
yeah. I don't. People take that too lightly, man. That's something to me that you gotta put that in perspective, man. That's something you can't take lightly. That's scary to me. When I
Well,
read,
have you noticed that a lot? I'm sorry, go ahead.
yeah, Carla.
Have you noticed that a lot of the preachers and teachers that you see on YouTube or that you see on TV,
Yes.
they preach about all the fluffy, nice, good things, but they don't teach about the consequences of
Mhm.
things that you do that are wrong. They say, oh, well, God knows your heart and he's not through working on you yet. Pray for me and all that. But they don't talk about, hey, when sin is full grown, it leads to death. when it's run its course. Like there's consequences. You may have been forgiven. You may have mercy and grace, but you still might get some consequences. You might have to suffer for what you've done, even though you've been forgiven.
And I was watching to add on to that. I was watching a guy speak on this on YouTube, and he was saying that every year, especially in January, beginning of the year, all of these pastors preach, "Oh, you're going. This is your year. You're going to be this, that, and the third, and you're going to, miracles is happening this year, and this, that, and the third." And then, the following year, it's the same message, and it's like at some point in time, when y'all gonna wake up and see, like, yo, whatever this guy is saying is not working. Like it's recycled. You know what I mean? I seen this year that a pastor said that everybody in his congregation, I forgot, it's one of the pastors in Atlanta. He said everybody in his congregation going to buy a house. They're going to have 3 houses by the end of this year. The pastor said that. He declared that everybody that was under the sound of his voice, God said that you're going to get 3 houses this year.
That's so much foolishness.
I have
You know what I'm
2,
saying?
one here and one in
I'm
heaven.
feeling sorry for the people that believe that stuff. That just, follow that. And, yeah.
So my thing is, like, at the end of the day, like if you see it's the same message and it's nothing that's changing your life, why are you still there?
Because
You gotta, at some point in time, you gotta want more.
Yeah.
Even if I call it the power of even if nothing changes, even if you are not healed, even if you are not rich, even if you don't get the job, even if you don't have 3 houses, the Lord is still sovereign. He is still good. He still loves you. He still sent his son to die for you.
Yes.
I agree with all that.
Yep.
Even if your
But
pastor is
too,
telling you a dream, telling you something that ain't happening, even if that happens, God still loves you and he's telling you to move on.
God will deal with him.
Yeah. It's time to move on.
But that's why the Bible tells you to study to show yourself approved. I'm saying because you got to know God and study the word and for yourself. You can't allow or just depend on the pulpit to give you everything because of the fact that half of the stuff, if all of them, if you're talking about half of them are not living right and not preaching false doctrine and whatnot, then you better know for yourself. Because regardless of even if the pastor failed and he goes to hell and whatnot, you still will be there with him. So you better know for yourself.
I thought you said, didn't you? You told me.
Yeah, exactly.
Blaming it on the pastor.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And that's when that goes back with that series Left Behind when the pastor talking about it was all there. It was all in the word. And and I mean it's after the fact now. So come on. But the congregation sitting there talking about, like I was sitting up on them, but they wasn't reading the Bible for themselves. So even all these people that sitting up in these talking about 3 houses and whatnot, they better know the word for themselves.
That's what people should be preaching then, man.
It says, seek ye first the kingdom of God and his righteousness, and all these things will be added up unto you. But the key to all of that is seeking God first,
yeah.
having that personal relationship with him, knowing him. If you know his will for your life, if you walk in accordance with his plan for you, then you'll desire the things. He'll give you the desires of your heart because they will line up with his word. So
I got one home and it ain't here.
You can,
right.
Huh?
I said I got one home and it ain't here.
Yeah, but I'm saying, but you have to know the word for yourself, and so that when the preacher is saying something that's off, it ought not to set well in your spirit because it doesn't line up with what you know.
Eddie, y'all got some dudes out there, man. I've been holding it in the chamber, man. I got some dudes out there that been saying some crazy stuff, man. Crazy stuff. Preaching. I said, oh man, what is this? Man, I shared some of it with Carletta. I said, yeah, I'm saving this in the chamber, man. I got about 7 or 8 bangers that I'm like, man. You know what I mean? the guy's talking crazy. You know what I'm saying? And I don't, not just there, even here, just I, I don't know where these people be, how they became a pastor or whatever the case may be, man. What and people would just shout, like we said, like people are shouting them on and stuff like that, and it's just like,
Mhm.
bro, like what is like I would have been sitting there looking like, yo, what is this dude talking about, man? Like I don't know, man. It's crazy, bro. It's crazy, like some of the stuff. But there's a guy out there that been saying some crazy stuff, man. That we got one of these days. Me and you want to chop it up about him. But I'm definitely gonna bring an episode. I'm definitely putting a spotlight on the episode for that one though. But I got a couple of, like I said, I got a couple of joints in the chamber. It's just, you know what I mean? It's crazy.
Can't
Some of the
handle them
stuff,
all at once.
yeah. And it's crazy because it's like, man, I gotta find a story to kind of wrap this around with because this one freaky.
Mm.
It's getting freaky, man. And
Like
it's just like how
Nephilim
you
freaky.
almost not. I mean, not quite, but they speak. I mean, but the thing is, like, I just don't understand how I couldn't sit and listen to a sermon with just, he ain't right. He ain't right what he said. You know what
Well,
I
and
mean?
like it's really hot right now to have like end times prophecy all over the place too. It's
But
like
they ain't even talking in
calm
time. They
down.
just
I
talking
know.
crazy. The definition. I want to. Can I ask this question though? Because this is a main. This was a hot topic. I'm. I don't want. Y'all don't have to answer if y'all don't want to. Y'all can answer however when we got 10 minutes left. I just want to put the question out there because this is something that came across my desk as well. And it's about the Trinity. All right. The question I want to ask real quick, and again, everybody, if y'all don't want to ask, you don't have to. I mean, if you don't answer, you don't have to answer. I'm not forcing you to give your opinion on this one or not. But the question is about the Trinity. There's, from my understanding, there is two thought processes of the Trinity, right? You got, I guess they call it the modal, whereas God operates in three different identities. So he's the same person, but he operates in three different ways, right? And so he's in different modes. So Jesus
Mm.
is God, God is God, the Holy Spirit is God. They're all one, but he's operating in three different modes. Or you got the Trinity where the Father, Son, and the Holy Spirit is three different identities, right? And they were all there in creation as one union of being Godheads, but they're all gods, but they operate in their own identities. There's a big controversy right now going on in the Christian realm about different pastors. They're calling different ones false prophets and preachers and stuff because of their belief of the Trinity. And the Trinity is one of those conversations that the Bible don't really address it. So it's kind of like leave you up to your interpretation of how you want to handle it. Do any one of y'all, again, no pressure, y'all don't have to share. But I'm asking, open the question. What do y'all believe in regards to the Trinity?
I
Is it
think
God
my
operating in three separate situations, or is it three separate identities of God?
I 100% believe that this is something that our human minds actually can't wrap our brains around, like many other things in the Bible, like
Mhm.
fully understand and grasp because it's it's God. But I think when I think my human brain wraps around it, I think it's modal. Like that's how I function in thinking. But I don't necessarily believe that that's 100% right.
Okay. There's a lot of people who would, on the other side will be crucifying you right now if they heard you say that. But anyone else want to share? Going once, going twice. Thank you, Amber, for sharing. All right, but that's something to think about. You know what I mean? If anybody, put that in your Rolodex to ponder upon. You know what I mean? I'm going to tap out because it's almost 10 o'clock, and I didn't get a chance to get into my biblical scriptures and story topic because we chopped it up about the pastor in this yeah, and all the ladies that and all the expiring first ladies,
All the single ladies.
That are in their prime.
all the single first ladies that are in their prime. Sister Jones,
Yes, sir.
we've been praying for you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
I'm glad to hear you on the phone, man. It's good to hear your voice. I seen you was
I'm
on the
glad to
prayer
be on
line
the
this
phone.
morning.
Yes, God is good.
Yep.
Yes, He is.
So we're definitely I guess see you tomorrow. Hear you see you on the call tomorrow. And for
Yep.
everybody else,
Yes.
as our
Yes.
pastor always say in our church, be safe, be blessed, be well. Thank y'all for listening. Shout out to everybody that's watching on the chat. I know we got somebody watching on the chat and stuff. So appreciate y'all for the viewership. And we out of here. Y'all have a good night.
Amen.
Bye.
Good night.
Good night, everyone.
Good night.